What's up, everyone? Today I'm joined by Movements. Thank you so much, Patrick, for taking the time.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Dude, I already talked your ear off, so finally it's time to switch.
Yeah.
So let's talk about RUCKUS, and I hope you choke.
Yeah.
Who is this directed to?
Oh, it's not directed towards any one person in particular. I Hope You Choke is one of those songs that like came about just sort of from a general feeling of anger and kind of me feeling angry at things that were going on around me, right? But it wasn't necessarily one thing. The song was written pretty much right in line with the time frame of like Roe v. Wade being overturned in the United States, and there being all of this discourse online about whether or not essentially women deserve fucking human rights, just basic human rights, right? And there was all this like bullshit where, and this isn't something that's like a one-off occasion. This happens every fucking day. But to give you frame of reference for like where my headspace was at the time, it felt like under every single viral post on any platform, you could go into the comments and there would just be hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of just like the most foul, like disgusting, like women hating or like fucking just like terrible people like spewing their like bigoted fucking bullshit every day nonstop. And it really made me like hate the internet more so than I kind of already do hate the internet, because I think the internet can be like very, very toxic. Yeah, I was just like in this headspace where I was like, you fucking people have nothing better to do with your lives than to like go and like spew all this shit all day, every fucking day, and get into these like long drawn out fucking arguments and shit in comment sections where you're just wasting away and like feeding into like just like the toxicity of it all. And I was like, man, that sucks. And so like the whole like first verse like is sort of like my sarcastic like, oh, look at you, like you're really doing something great, aren't you? Like you're really proving your point with all those fucking messages, like, and all that shit. And then the chorus being like, you know what, like, fuck you, you're the worst person I've ever come across. I hope you choke. That's the sentiment. Essentially, it is not about any one person in particular, but more so a wide variety of people.
Yeah, I thought so. I didn't think, by the way, it'd be like, it's about Robert Smith.
Imagine grade. I just name drop one person. Oh man,
wow.
That would be really, really sad for them.
You mentioned that it's the first time on this record that you're kind of not drawing purely from your own experiences.
Yeah.
Can you give an example of a song that is kind of really fictional?
Yeah. I mean, it's truly the first time that we've ever like written songs that are 100% fiction. A.M.P is one of the songs on the record that I feel like has really no connection to me or anything about me or anything that has to do with like my life or anyone in it. I was watching the TV show Euphoria on HBO with Zendaya in it. It's like It's like fucking Gen Z's like, I don't know, all-time like top like worship show. Like it's like like Gen Z loves this fucking show, and dude, it's just like high school kids just getting into absolute like debauchery and like fucking being horrible to one another like the whole time. But it's like shot really cool and like it like glorifies like like partying and like I don't know, like it's just like a silly show. It is very good, to be fair. Like my girlfriend and I, fiance and I'm not used to saying that yet. I got engaged recently. Thank you. My fiance and I watched the whole thing. Like we binged the whole thing, and I was like, "Wow, this is actually a really fucking good show." And I was like, "Man, it'd be so cool to have a song in this show."
Oh yeah.
And then it was around the time that we were writing, and I had the instrumental for A.M.P, but I hadn't written any lyrics to it. And I was just kind of like fucking around with like melodies and stuff. And I was like, let me come up with a story that would just like be in Euphoria, like something like dark and weird and like fucked up or something. And so essentially like the story behind it is like it's essentially about a stripper, or it's just like a story of a stripper. I don't know. Like I don't know how to like describe it, but it's just sort of like a story about a stripper who is also battling addiction, and she's like fueling her addiction, or they. It could be about a they. There's no one actually. There's no. I think there's no gendered terms in the song. So they are fueling their addiction by stripping and sort of robbing people of their money in order to continue to feed an addiction. I don't know. Like, I legit don't know where the story came from in my brain. I was just like, yeah, that seems like a story that would be on this TV show.
That's so great. I love that piece of snippet of information. I mean, we're here at the Reaper Bond, so that's very fitting.
Oh yeah, it's like a classic Reaper Bond tale. I feel,
There you
like
go.
very
Yeah.
just like sleazy, grimy, but like fun and like weird and like just makes you want to dance.
So, and please correct me if I'm sort of misrepresenting what you said, but I listened to an interview of yours, and you're saying that, yes, you're happy doing the band and, just seeing how far it can go, but also you want to be big. You want to be, maybe appealing to a wider audience as well.
Yeah.
And be able to essentially to live off of it and live off of it well.
Absolutely.
So, and maybe part of that is, maybe adjusting your sound a little bit to make it a little bit more palatable to those who don't necessarily listen to just heavy music or whatever. But so what is something that you would not do or that you would not sacrifice to kind of get to the top? For example, like would you ever consider if someone's like, all your dreams are right in front of you, all you have to do is reach out and grab them, but you cannot work with Will Yip again?
Oh yeah. See, like, no, I don't think that we would ever sacrifice like our integrity as musicians or as artists, right? Like, when I say that like we want to push this thing as far as we can go, it's like, yeah, we want to continue to like push the boundaries of like what it means to be, like a band within our world, right? Because we've come up in whatever you want to call it, post-hardcore, pop punk, fucking emo alternative in general. Like, we've come up within a very specific realm of bands that all kind of like live in a certain, in a certain sub pocket of the music world. That pocket has a ceiling, and it's our job to try to break through that ceiling and try to take this shit to the next level if possible. If it's not possible and it doesn't work out, then you're right. We're satisfied and we're happy with what success we've seen so far, because it's already gone so much further than we thought it was going to go. Like, this band started very much as like a passion project, and more than anything, just something that we all wanted to be like, let's give it a solid run. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, but we tried. This was like our push at really trying to be serious about being in a band. So as far as our expectations go, they've already been met and they've already been exceeded. So now we're at the point where like, okay, well, this is really cool. We're doing something that's like very special and that we're enjoying, and it's actually proving to be an actual career for us now. So how do we capitalize on that, and how do we continue to, again, push and break through that glass ceiling? But I think there's a limit, right? Like, if somebody told us like, yeah, we're going to give you this multi-million-dollar record deal, blah, 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 you're going to be successful beyond your wildest dreams, but you have to do this, and you have to follow this rule, and you have to work with these people, and you have to sound like that. And if there's like all of that, like fucking red tape, then I'm not down. And I don't think any of my guys are down. Like, we all would collectively just be like, nah, fuck that. Like, it's not worth sacrificing what we do on like I don't think moral is the right term for it, but like on a...
Yeah. Like value,
like on an like integrity level, we do this because we love it, and we do this because it's something that we believe in and that we pour all of ourselves into. There's no one calling the shots. There's no one saying like, hey, you need to sound like this, or you need to try to do something like this. You need to work with these people. We get into a room, the four of us and Will, and we sit down and we write, and whatever comes out of it on that day is what we end up going with. You know what I mean? Like, which is why Ruckus in general sounds so vastly different. Like each song kind of sounds so different from one another because there was really no direction. It was just, let's write songs that we wouldn't have written in the past and see if it works. Like, let's just see what we can come up with. And we ended up coming up with, in my opinion, what are some of the best songs that we've ever written. And I think we're going to continue to do that, you know, just let it be a free-flowing, fun thing. Maybe we'll take into consideration the songs that do work versus the songs that maybe don't catch on as much, and we'll try to aim for more of the songs that we see a strong reaction from. But at the end of the day, we're only going to ever write what we want to write and never let anyone tell us like that we have to be fitting some certain kind of mold. If it ever got to that point, then I would be finished. You know what I mean? Like if it ever got to a point where the only thing we could do is what someone else tells us to, then it's not worth it for me.
Yeah. Hear that, haters? Movements are never going to sell out. Whoa, cute.
Yeah. I mean, there's people who would already have said like, oh, they've sold out, they've changed, they're, being whatever, and there, where's the emotion, where's the whatever. It's like, if you don't think that, like, if you truly think that like there's a lack of emotion or there's a lack of like depth to the music we're making now, then quite frankly, you're just not listening. Like that's what it comes down to. It's like these songs are just as deep and as impactful, I think, as any of our old music. It's just packaged in a different way, and I think that scares certain people away from it. So I think having an open mind about it is like super important.
I find that you as a person, you as the singer and let's say the face of the band, you're put into quite a difficult position by people that, and you talked about this too, that expect you to be like the spokesperson on mental health and stuff. And as you say, you know, this album maybe doesn't reflect issues that you've struggled with very openly in your music in the past. And people expect you to still talk about it in that same way. And I'm always like, you never chose to be that, you know, to carry that responsibility. And obviously you're, you are, as we all are, ever evolving as a person. Your mental health, thankfully, is it sort of also evolving. Yeah. Which you've talked about, and that's really awesome. So how is it for you now to perform those darker songs from your past to that same audience?
You know, it's sort of funny because I think there's a significant degree of like separation between what the song or songs are about, like on an emotional level, and actually performing them, right? At the end of the day, when you see a band live, you are watching a performance. You're watching a very well-oiled, well-rehearsed production, you know? So although we're performing songs that do have a very deep, like, emotional value to them, I'm not thinking about what the song is about when I'm performing it, which may surprise some people.
That's so interesting. Yeah.
I'm not thinking about it at all. What I'm thinking about is making sure that my performance is meeting a certain standard so that the people watching who are connecting with it on an emotional level are also connecting with it in the sense that, okay, here I am as a viewer watching one of my favorite bands play a song that means so much to me. And not only does it mean so much to me to hear that song recorded, but watching it live is the same quality, if not better than the recording, right? Me as a singer and as a frontman, I'm constantly like pushing myself to maintain like a very, very solid performance so that the people will connect to the song and also be like, wow, that was an amazing performance. So my brain is not even anywhere like thinking about like, what is this song about? It's more so like, how can I perform this song even better than what people are expecting? To answer your question, it's really not hard at all to perform a lot of those old songs. There are certain songs that I prefer not to play anymore.
Oh yeah.
Because they aren't relevant to my life, and I don't necessarily like inviting certain feelings or emotions back into my life that I don't like really resonate with anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, and this is gonna ruffle some feathers.
Let's ruffle them.
I don't really think that we'll ever play 19 again. Even though it's some people's favorite song that we've written, it connects with people like really deeply, whatever. But I no longer like feel any sort of like resentment or anger or anything negative towards my dad. You know, like we've since then really, really established such a strong relationship, and I have grown up so much, and I don't feel that same sort of like angsty, like, meh, like my dad fucking, you know what I mean? Like, I think I've come to understand a lot of the reasons why my dad did the things he did. And sure, maybe like we didn't have a great relationship growing up, and maybe there was things that he could have done better as a father, but none of that matters anymore because we've grown past it. And through me even like talking about it in my music, our music, we can kind of like lay all that to rest, and it's just water under the bridge, you know? So because of that, like, although it connects with a lot of people, I don't personally connect with that song anymore. So I don't know that I want to be actively, you know, pushing that to the world. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
Versus other songs that, although they're older and they may not, you know, resonate so much with me anymore on a personal level, but there's still a good message, right? And maybe there's still a good message in 19, but to me personally, it's just something that I like prefer to stay away from these days. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And maybe I just overthink it in my brain, and it doesn't even fucking matter. But that's like, yeah, sort of my take on it these days.
I read a comment about you being straight edge that somebody else wrote.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted to like kind of drop it, like throw it out there. Doesn't matter if you ever claimed it, if you ever, you know, I just wanted to maybe like exchange ideas a little bit about like straight edge as a concept, as part of the scene, if it still matters to you in any way, and if it impacted you in some way, and if it still impacts you.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, straight edge has been like probably the most constant thing in my life since I was a teenager. So I'm still straight edge. I claim straight edge. I have it tattooed on my wrist. Like, I've been straight edge for 11 going on 12 years now. Oh, fuck. Maybe it's 12 years. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I've been straight edge for, a very long time. And it's truly like, it's been such a positive force in my life. And it's really kept me on a path that I can feel proud of. And more than anything, I think it's like a really strong, like, feeling of personal accomplishment to be like, oh, I did this, you know, like I've been able to stay sober and go through everything that life's had to throw at me for the last 11, 12 years, and not succumb to the pressures of drowning it in substance abuse, right? To simply like help myself get through it. Now, by no means am I like hating on any sort of like people who maybe do use substances in order to help cope with things that are going on in their lives. Like, to me, straight edge is a personal choice. It's a personal commitment. I have absolutely no qualms or beefs with anybody who chooses to do otherwise, right? It's for me. This proves that I can be strong, and I can go through life and take care of my business without, you know, needing that extra help. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's like a super important thing, if anything, just for like my own pride, right? Like to be able to say like, I've accomplished something that is like admittedly a very difficult thing to do, especially in this day and age, mm-hmm. with drugs and alcohol being so common and being so desensitized to, you know, drug and alcohol abuse, like in everyday life. You know, like I feel like people sort of treat something as like gnarly as cocaine as just like a normal everyday, like, yep, just doing some coke, you know?
Right? And I'm so naive about this. Like I don't fuck with that at all, like whatsoever. It's almost like in inflation. I always feel like, you know, first it's like, okay, drinking and then like smoking weed, and then like, okay, how else can we, you know, maximize our fun, and
Right.
it's this like, oh man, you need so much to I don't know, have a good time.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah.
And you know, I think the big thing for me too was like discovering straight edge at a young age, because I mean I was familiar with straight edge from the time that I was like 13 onward. I didn't claim edge until I was older, but you know, from a young age, I knew very much like, okay, like there's a community based around this. As any teenager does, like, yeah, I smoked weed with my friends when I was young, and you know, just to see what it was like. It always caused me way more harm than it did good. Getting high made my anxiety tenfold what it is on a daily basis. Alcohol has never appealed to me in any way. I've seen like family and people close to me in my life like deal with alcoholism in the past, and it's just like, it's something to me that has always just been very much like no, like I'm good on that. But when you're young and you're in a position where your friends are all doing something and you want to be involved, there's like the pressure to fit in, right? Straight edge gave me the opportunity to fit in with a group of people without having any of that pressure. Even the kids who weren't straight edge but would hang out with the straight edge kids knew like, oh, like those dudes are straight edge, it's cool, like we have our thing that we do, but we can all come to this show, we can all hang out, and like when it comes down to like, are we gonna go get high or get drunk in the parking lot, we just like, we'll do that on our own, and then we can still come back and hang out with the straight edge kids, you know what I mean? Versus like people who maybe aren't familiar with straight edge would be like, well, what do you mean you don't drink? Why not? Like, what's wrong? Or you know, even today, like to this day, when I am out with people and I get offered a beer or some sort of alcoholic beverage, like I'll be like, oh no, thank you, I don't drink. And then people like get concerned, like they've offended me or something, and they're like, oh, I'm so sorry, like you know, and I'm like, no, it's good, it's all good, like I'm chilling, I don't drink, it's all good, you know. But yeah, I mean, having a community of people who all have a very similar understanding and idea about like, hey, this is just what we do. It was so beneficial for me. I've felt more welcomed in that community than I feel like I ever have in anything else, especially growing up in Orange County. You know, Orange County is home to some absolutely like legendary straight edge hardcore bands. You know, the scene in Orange County especially when I was growing up, was very, very strong. So being able to go out to shows every weekend and just like have my people, that was awesome.
I wish I'd had that growing up.
Moral of the story,
yes.
Straight edge rocked for me. It gave me a great community of people around me. It benefited my life in more ways than one. And I'm happy and I'm proud to claim straight edge, because it's part of my identity, you know?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you also straight edge?
My thing is that like I never claimed it. I probably I did claim it when I was 17,
sure.
when I first found out about it, and I thought it was the coolest thing in the world.
Yeah.
I still live that same way. Like I'm very much drug and alcohol free.
But maybe minus the label.
Yeah, at some point.
Yeah.
I would say now I'm just kind of whatever, cuz for me edge is like a lifelong commitment, and I don't know, maybe on my 80th birthday I'll be like,
sure,
let's get out the rum, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know.
I have people ask me that all the time. They're like, well, you're not even going to drink like on your wedding day? And I'm like, no, why would I? I've never once wanted to drink. Just because it's a special occasion does not mean that will make me want to drink either, you know. Like, yeah, it's funny, but I hear you. I respect that, you know, because it's such a normal thing to think about. Like, yeah, on my 80th birthday, like, why wouldn't I, you know?
You know, at some point, if I get to that point where I'm like, I actually am now bored with life. I don't know what else to do, you know. Let's maybe throw that in the mix. I don't know, but I don't have any concrete plans,
sure,
you know, to mess around with that. Yeah, it's just I'm just not interested, you know. But who knows? Right. Exactly. Maybe at some I'll wake up and I'll be like, I want to try this. But
maybe I will too. I doubt it, but maybe.
I doubt it too. You know?
but maybe.
But who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? Okay, Patrick.
Yes.
Let's wrap this up.
Let's.
have an awesome show.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for this. Kind of turned into a podcast. But I very
Yeah,
much
sorry, I
enjoyed it.
talk a lot.
Dude, I am so down. I am so down for this. Yeah.
I think it's because I'm pretty quiet on like a day-to-day basis. And then I get into a position where I'm being asked to talk about things, and then it's just like to open the floodgates.
You overcompensate.
Yeah,
You're like,
sorry.
No, I love it. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
You've
no
been
worries.
so great.
Thank you.
Yeah, have an awesome show tonight.
Thank you so
Amber.
much. Thanks for having me.
Cheers. Thank you.